how's this game going to go? What does Oklahoma's defense got to do? How can Alabama's offense overcome Oklahoma's defense? Let's discuss coming up next.
You are Locked On Sooners, your daily podcast on the Oklahoma Sooners. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Again, thanks for making Locked On Bama and Locked On Sooners your first listen every single day. We're part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. So, guys, as you look at this game from Alabama's perspective, what is going to be a key for them? And how do you feel like Kalen DeBoer is going to look to attack Oklahoma's defense?
Well, Jalen Milroe with his legs has been, I would say, the bread and butter of this Alabama offense when they've needed something to happen. Alabama runs a lot of RPOs. Jalen keeps them a lot. I would say it's been Alabama's most dependable, best play. And if Alabama can't run the ball with Jalen Milroe, the offense looks a little different. I think that's the battle in this game is, can Alabama have some success on the ground, primarily with the quarterback? Can Oklahoma and their really fine defense shut it down? And if they do, force Milroe to either beat you with his arm or maybe one of the Alabama backs. I think that, to me, is going to decide this game. Can Jalen Milroe have some success on the ground? He doesn't have to rush for 100 yards, but he's got to make Oklahoma respect and worry about his legs. That opens up a lot of other stuff for Alabama.
Yeah, I've been saying all along, I think that Milroe's at his best when a play breaks down a little more and then he takes off versus the design runs. He had some great success against LSU with the design runs. I would attribute some of that to LSU's defense isn't that great and the weather. But regardless, I think that's Jalen Milroe is starting to find himself. I mean, he's starting to play a lot better. Is he going to win the Heisman Trophy? I don't think so. But he's playing a lot better. And Alabama now has, they played at Tennessee, which was an incredibly raucous environment. They struggled somewhat. They made some adjustments, played at LSU, which was a raucous environment for about a half. And they made some adjustments, did very well. So now they're going to Oklahoma. And I think one of the things that's going to affect my actual score prediction for this game is what kind of crowd do y'all think is going to show up?
Well, the good thing for us is that it's a night game. So we'll probably have a really good crowd. It's still Bama. It's still the SEC. So the expectation is fans, even though we're bad at 5-5, they're probably still going to show up just because they want to say that they've seen Bama in person. Because as John mentioned, a lot of people bought their season tickets and bought tickets going into this in preparation of hopefully seeing Nick Saban in one of his final seasons in college football. They're not going to get that. But at the same time, it's still Bama. We're still both wearing crimson. It's still the numbers on the helmet for Bama. It's still old school football. And everybody's still curious to see, okay, will this Bama team go make it into the playoffs or make an SEC championship game, make it to the playoffs, or how deep they'll go, while at the same time, how does Oklahoma actually measure up against Alabama? Like, as mentioned, our defense has been solid this year. I think we're number 2 in the country in defensive rush efficiency, tops in the SEC. We're one of the better rushing defenses. And honestly, as Jimmy mentioned, that is the bread and butter, is getting Milroe, not only him running it, but running the ball in general. And so a lot of fans, what I've seen in those that have a positive outlook on this is that we want to see if the defense really is good. Can it slow down Jalen Milroe from running all over the place? If that does happen, and this game is a lot closer than expected, Sooner fans, I believe, will have way more hope going into next season as to what Oklahoma can do.
I'm looking at the schedule for Oklahoma right now, and I mean, forget the first 3 games, but I look at, say, Tennessee, Auburn, Texas, South Carolina, Ole Miss, all that. The one thing that jumps out in my mind, and I'm not going to go back and look through every game, but I can think of at least one defensive touchdown against Auburn and one defensive touchdown against Missouri. And if you remove those, boy, let's take those out for a second. I know it's all part of the grand tapestry, but Oklahoma would have only had 15 points against Tennessee, 20 points against Auburn, 3 points against Texas, 9 points against South Kakalaki, 14 against Ole Miss, and only 16 against Missouri. That's what is scary to me. The defense can be as good as it wants to be, but your offense is going to have to put up some points.
And that's what it comes down to. And I think Oklahoma's got to go into this one with a similar game plan like Vanderbilt. Try to run the ball as much as you possibly can and control the clock. If you get into a situation where you're down 10 points and you're in the second half, that's not going to bode well for Oklahoma and their offensive line and for Jackson Arnold and the passing game, because when Oklahoma has been put in obvious passing situations, it's not boded well for them. So they're going to have to really lean on the run game. And even if they're down 10 points, continue to lean on the run game, because that's been the most productive part of their offense over the last month or so. So continue to lean into it, lean into the quarterback run game with Jackson Arnold, lean on your true freshman running backs, Xavier Robinson and Taylor Tatum, who have been productive parts of the offense, and just try to keep this thing close offensively. See if your defense or your special teams can help you out. Against Missouri, I mean, they were up 9-3 at half. Against Ole Miss, they were up 14-10 at half. And then in the second half, those defenses made some adjustments to slow down Oklahoma's offense. And there we were. So lean into the run game. Don't ask Jackson Arnold to do too much against an Alabama defense that's going to be looking to tee off whenever he drops back to pass.
Yeah, for us, that's going to be the most important thing. We need to show up in the second half. And that's nothing against Alabama whatsoever. If we show up in the second half, we can at least make it competitive. That's the most important thing. And it's that, and that run defense needs to be able to do that. But the one thing that if we have to take a blueprint, we're going to have to take the Vanderbilt blueprint. The best defense is keeping Jalen Milroe off the field. The longer he's off the field, the better off we can be. But the question is going to be can we just keep moving the ball enough to get first downs and staying consistent? That was actually one thing I looked at last week when Texas played against Arkansas. That was the way that they were able to close that out. They got a turnover, and then the last 6 minutes and 55 seconds of the game, Texas had the ball. They didn't try to go score a touchdown. They went out there, first down, 1, 2, 3, first down, 1, 2, 3, first down. They just kept chipping away at the clock until it ran out. That's our saving grace. If we can keep Milroe off the field as long as possible and don't let him throw it to that freak Ryan Williams, I think we'll be all right. I hate and love the fact that y'all have the best wide receiver in the SEC, and he's only 17 years old still. I think we're going to keep saying that over and over. It'd been nice. Rumor has it,
comes up,
but it'd been nice if we didn't play out twice while he was 17 and 18 years old. That would have been great, but SEC doesn't like us.
Yeah. He'll be 18 in February, and the party will all be over.
And he can
just keep saying he's 17. I think we just say that.
It's no big deal when he's 18.
Hey, look, he's making so much in NIL money, he can keep his driver's license. He can make it say whatever he wants to.
Okay.
No, and that's going to be a big aspect. I mean, as Oklahoma could be great against Jalen Milroe, contain the run game, but they've been a little bit sloppy in some of the explosives over the last 6 weeks or so. And if Alabama's able to get some explosives with a guy like Ryan Williams, who is very explosive, that could make this game turn a little bit ugly, turn a little bit poorly. So it's going to be a great game, a great atmosphere. I expect a great crowd from Oklahoma fans. They're a proud fan base, just like Alabama fans are as well. And regardless of how the season's gone, they're going to want to show up and show out and try to impact the game the best way they can. And that's going to do it for this crossover edition of Locked On Bama and Locked On Sooners here on the Locked On Podcast Network. We look forward to breaking this game down further with you all on our respective channels. Go and subscribe to Locked On Bama. Check out their work all week long as you get ready for Oklahoma and Alabama this Saturday night. Subscribe to Locked On Sooners, also over on YouTube, and we're everywhere you guys get your podcasts, free and available on all podcast platforms. But until next time, we got Jimmy Stein, Luke Robinson, Jay Smith. I'm John Williams. We'll talk to you then. Have a great week and enjoy OU Bama.